All right, today we're diving into a real giant of the Latin American energy world, Ecopetrol. From an investor's point of view, this company is sitting at a fascinating and maybe even dangerous crossroads. So let's break down the two powerful forces pulling this stock in completely opposite directions. And really, it all boils down to this one question. You've got a company with what look like incredible assets and killer profitability. But on the other side, you've got a set of risks so huge they could torpedo the whole thing. It's a classic high-stakes call for any investor. So what's the real story here? Okay, before we go any further, you have to lock this number into your brain. 88.49%. That is the slice of Ecopetrol owned by the Colombian government. It is the single most important fact you need to know. It's the lens you have to look through for everything else we're about to talk about. So let's kick things off with the bull case, because honestly, on paper, this company looks like an absolute powerhouse. If you could just ignore the politics for a minute and focus purely on the business, you'd see a seriously powerful value engine. I mean, Ecopetrol's dominance in Colombia is just staggering. It isn't just a player in the country. For a lot of things, it is the market. We're talking about producing most of the oil and gas, owning the pipelines that move it, and controlling the refineries that process it. Talk about a competitive moat. It's basically baked into the structure of the country's energy sector. And this isn't just a straight-up oil company anymore. Hydrocarbons are still the heart of the business, for sure, but they've diversified. They've got a huge midstream business called Senet, which is kind of like a toll road for oil. And critically, they made a massive move into power transmission with a company called ISA. That deal in particular really changed the game. Yeah, that ISA acquisition, that was a seriously smart move. What it does is give Ecopetrol these super stable, predictable, regulated cash flows, and a lot of them are in US dollars. Think of it like a powerful financial buffer that helps protect the company from the wild swings of oil prices and some of that domestic political drama. And man, is the core business profitable. Just look at these EBITDA margins. We're talking over 40%. In this industry, that is exceptionally strong. It tells you that deep down, this is a well-run, efficient machine that knows how to turn a barrel of oil into a whole lot of cash. And it's not just the financials. Operationally, they are absolutely crushing it. In 2024, they hit record production, the most they've pumped in nearly a decade. This proves they know how to execute. They're squeezing every last drop of value out of the assets they have right now. And of course, all that cash has to go somewhere. Which brings us to this monster number, a forward dividend yield of around 17%. 17%. That is a massive, tangible return for investors. It's really the ultimate bull argument, right? A cash-gushing, dominant company that's paying you an incredible yield to own its stock. But you got to ask yourself, why is that yield so high? And that leads us to the other, much darker side of the coin. And this is where the picture gets, well, a lot less rosy. For all of its operational muscle, Ecopetrol is being dragged down by this immense political and regulatory risk that is just crushing its valuation. This, my friends, is the bear case. This number right here, this is the whole bear case in a nutshell. 7.1 years. That's Ecopetrol's current reserve life for its oil. You can think of it as a ticking clock for the company. At the rate they're pumping, they're on track to run out of proven oil in less than a decade. So the obvious question is, why aren't they just finding more oil? Well, because their majority owner, the government, has banned them from getting new exploration licenses. This makes the company's biggest existential threat a direct self-inflicted wound from its own controlling shareholder. I mean, the logic here is just brutal and unavoidable. If you ban new exploration, you can't replace the oil and gas you're pumping out every day. As your reserves shrink, so does the company's future, and eventually, production itself has to start falling. In effect, the government is putting Ecopetrol on a slow, managed path to liquidation. And it doesn't stop there. The risks just keep piling on top of each other. You've got this built-in conflict where the government needs cash for its budget right now, but the company needs to invest for the long term. You see that instability right on the board, which is like a revolving door. On the ground, pipelines get attacked all the time. And financially, the company can't get a better credit rating than the country itself. It's just a whole cascade of interconnected risks. So you've got this massive engine on one side and this huge political anchor on the other. How in the world do you weigh these two? Well, the verdict is pretty clear. An investment in Ecopetrol isn't really a bet on oil and gas. It is a direct bet on the future of an entire country. Let's just lay it all out, side by side.
The bulls will point to the strong operations, the high profits, that stable cash flow from its other businesses, and of course, that massive dividend. The bears will fire right back with the exploration ban, the dwindling reserves, and that whole mess of political and security risks. The core dilemma for an investor couldn't be clearer. And when you stack it up against its state-owned peers like Petrobras in Brazil, you see that the low valuation isn't unique. The market discounts all these companies for political risk. But just look at that dividend yield. It is a total outlier. That's the market basically pricing in the huge risk of that exploration ban. But it's also offering a huge potential reward if that policy ever changes. And that really brings us to the bottom line, doesn't it? An investment here isn't about reading geology reports or analyzing spreadsheets. It's a direct bet on the political and economic future of Colombia. Your decision really comes down to this. Do you believe that, eventually, financial reality will force the government to take a more practical approach?
So we end right back where we started. Is that giant dividend a justified reward for being brave enough to take on some very clear and very present dangers? Or is it a giant red flag, a warning sign that the company is just handing back cash because it has no future left to invest in? That right there is the multi-billion-dollar question.